Over the next few minutes, I'm going to be telling you the truth about animal testing in the cosmetic industry. Most of you won't like what I'm about to tell you because most of your favorite brands are still to this day involved with torturing and in most cases killing animals, all for the sake of a lipstick. To bring this home to you guys, I'm going to be replicating the pain and suffering that animals go through every single day with some special effects makeup. Of course, all the makeup that I'm using today has not been tested on animals. It's 100% cruelty-free and no animals were suffering for this makeup. Globally, around 100,000 animals suffer and die every single year just to test cosmetics. The most used animals for these tests include rabbits, guinea pigs, mice, hamsters, and rats. While cats, dogs, and monkeys are not used to test cosmetics, they are still used in many other experiments. All animals have the capacity to feel physical pain and mental distress during testing. If you think about what makes us human, what is it? Is it the ability to feel happiness, love, to communicate, to feel pain, suffering, hurt, scared, frightened? It's exactly the same as an animal. What makes us living creatures also make animals living creatures. They can feel scared, they can feel petrified, they can feel pain and suffering just as much as we can. During the animal testing procedure, animals are given no pain relief as this may interfere with the results of the tests. These animals will either die during the testing or be killed for a post-mortem examination afterwards. Some of the most common tests that are performed on our beautiful fluffy creatures are the drain's eyes test, which is basically where rabbits will be restrained at the neck so that chemicals can be dripped into their eyes and observe of signs of reddening, swelling, or bleeding. They also perform skin irritation or corrosion tests, basically when rabbits and guinea pigs have their fur shaved so that chemicals can be slathered onto their skin to observe for signs of cracking and bleeding. The last main test that is performed is the oral toxicity test, where these animals are force-fed chemicals via a tube or syringe directly into their stomach. Usually this is in a large dose to observe the signs of poisoning, which usually appear as seizures, tremors, internal bleeding, coma, and death. Most of these tests date back to the 1930s and 1940s. That's when they were invented. Same time when doctors were still telling their patients it was healthy to smoke cigarettes. Since the modern science has vastly improved our understanding of toxicity, we now know that these crude animal tests can't be relied on to tell us how chemicals will affect human beings. Animals can respond very differently to the same chemicals, so a cosmetic that's been animal tested should not be assumed that it's safe for human use. Other alternatives to animal testing can be found very easily. Unfortunately, there's not a demand for it. Testing on animals is the easiest way to test cosmetics at the moment. So until there's a real demand for cruelty-free cosmetics, companies aren't going to bother trying to find alternative methods of testing. Many companies are very clever with how they word their testing policy. Most companies will say, we never test on animals, we love animals, because being honest and straight with people and saying they do test on animals is very bad for business. So most companies will say, we never test on animals unless legally required. So basically that means that they do test on animals where it is required by law. Sadly, at this stage, all products that are sold to the Chinese market are legally required by China to be tested on animals. So any product that sells to China, even though they may say they're cruelty-free, they're not cruelty-free. Now, some of you may say, well, that's not the company's fault, that's the Chinese government's fault. In my opinion, these companies are only out there to make money. And you might say, well, they're a company, they should make money, it's their business. These are multi-million-dollar companies. They could make a stand, make a change to better the world, to better the animals, and remove themselves from the Chinese market. They would actually gain so many more customers, myself included, if they did this brave step. Now, what most of you don't know is that all companies that sell to China need to provide samples of their products to China, and they also need to pay for the cost of the animal testing. So those of you saying that it's not the company's fault, it's the Chinese government's fault, it's not really right, because the company is very well aware of what's going to happen. They provide samples of their product to China, knowing that it's going to be tested on animals. In the past few years, the Chinese government has made some awesome steps towards banning animal testing. For one, all products that are made in China and exported out of China, meaning they're not sold in China at all, can be classed as cruelty-free. Another thing you should look out for is the difference between not tested on animals and cruelty-free. So what not tested on animals means is basically the finished product was not tested on animals. However, the individual ingredients could have been tested on animals. Cruelty-free means that no animal testing at any stage with any of the ingredients by a third party or by the company or by whoever was not performed. It's extremely important to do your research on this topic, as many companies can say, we don't test on animals, but they can hire a third party to do the testing for them. So technically, the company didn't test on animals, however, the product has still been tested on animals. So it's very important to do your research. As well, I feel it's important to state that there are quite a few companies out there that are cruelty-free. However, they are owned by a company that is not cruelty-free. So it does come down to personal preference whether you choose to boycott this company because their parent company isn't cruelty-free, or if you still decide to use them. So it is completely up to you what you decide to do on that subject. I'll link some amazing websites and blogs in the description box below, which has helped me so much on my cruelty-free journey and helped educate myself on this subject. In saying that, it's not all doom and gloom. There are so many incredible companies that are doing the right thing, that are taking the steps to a better future, and that are cruelty-free. My whole YouTube channel is 100% cruelty-free, so you can still create amazing makeup, special effects, hair color with cruelty-free products, and honestly, it makes you feel so amazing deep down in your soul to know that no creatures were harmed for any makeup look that you create. At the end of the day, how you choose to spend your money and what you choose to spend your money on is completely up to you. But I feel if you've had a hard time watching this video or struggling to hear the facts, but you can still use products that are tested on animals, then maybe you should reconsider your purchases. Not saying that if you can watch this easy breezy without flinching that you're still right to use products tested on animals. It all starts with one person. If one person makes a change and speaks to someone else, that might lead to someone else making a change. You might think that you're only one person and you can't make a difference, but that is definitely not true. That's what big companies want you to think. They want you to think that you're small, that you can't change the world, that you can't make an impact, but you definitely can. Just by taking a stand, choosing products that are ethical, thinking about your purchases, not only can you still create fantastic, amazing makeup looks, but you'll feel good about yourself. You'll feel good deep down in your soul about your choices, that you've made these choices without harming the planet, without harming the animals, and you're doing something good for the world.